Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Heavenly Delusion Season 1, Episode 7. Last episode, Kiriko and Maru killed a bear. We stayed at a hotel, and we got to see Asura for the first time in the form of a ghost-ish?
Dream state interaction?
There was no, surprise or shock on Tokyo's face, I think, making the obvious conclusion of this is what Asura looked like before they actually took their own life. And within that whole idea of the conversation with the director saying that they had so much in their head at once, it really just, for me, brings into question the terms of Asura's birth and what that looked like compared to everybody else within this facility's birth. And if it was slightly different, and if so, what the true purpose was for.
There's a lot of questions.
You're ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. I have been listening to this song so much.
Really?
Yeah, in my free time. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can use it. In what type of edit do I need to do that I can utilize the song to its fullest potential? Maybe we just remake it.
That'd be cute.
It'd be very difficult.
Where do we find a landscape like this?
We're gonna have to wait for your hair to grow back, though.
人食いってこれで合ってるっけ？
まるでそれ以外は合ってるみたいな口ぶりだな。僕が書くよ。人食いで行を変えないと大変なことになるんだ。
どういうこと？
中野の事務所のドア。僕が人を食い殺しますみたいになっちゃって、実際殺人事件が起きた時、疑われて人が詰めかけた。
Oh my god.
That's a
Yeah,
great line.
it
That
is.
is a great line.
It is. Took their attention.
You're the
Yeah.
only one that called. Where'd it come from?
Why?
Mikura called them that.
Mikuro has so much information, I feel. That Hiroko, in
Used all of
parentheses,
the
yeah.
names. They find you.
Nice.
They're really just out in the open waiting.
神妙な顔して何考えてんの？ホテル王のこと？
いやってどうしたのお姉ちゃん？
ああ、君黙ってるとびっくりするぐらい美形なのに喋ると本当にダメだね。
待って、もう一回やる。はい。
ああ、もう全然。
Now you're trying. You can tell.
ダメです。終わり。
Yeah, they're being watched.
連中じゃないの？まあ一応報告した方がいいか。
This looks like the place we were looking for.
The doctor.
No, they're faking me out here.
What? No way, right? Cafe Hideaway.
What a good name.
Stop human experiments. Free the patients. Doctor incorporating man-eater parts.
昔の知り合いでね。
宇佐美医師ではありませんね。
Okay.
Different person.
新しく来た医者かもしれん。
あなたたちは不滅教団の人では？
え？違う違う。見失っちまったね。
時間を無駄にしたぜ。
帰らないで。話を聞いて。
A different group.
我々は不滅教団のやり方に
Opposed. Oh my god.
リビューマン。それで相談があり、ここへお連れし。
Okay.
ちょっと待ってくれ。デルインかなんかか？
表向きは清涼院ということになっていますが、ご覧ください。私は怪我の治療目的で教団に近づき、結果拘束され、足を切断されました。そしてこの金属の足をつけられ。
And you didn't have a problem with your leg, they just took it?
人体実験の一環かと。
今もあちこちから教団を頼ってきた怪我人に対し、
Yeah, they're subjected to the work of the devil,
行われています。
replaced with machines.
崩壊以前から悪くなった体の一部を機械で補うことはありました。なんならロボットの体に脳そのものや記憶のデータを移植して寿命を超越するという発想もあった。倫理的な観点からそう思い切ったことはやれなかったもんですが。
No
今はなんせ無法
shot.
際限なく研究するやつもいれば、喜んで機械になりたがる客もいる。てか、
それならそれでやりたい連中同士で勝手にやらせとけばいいじゃん。そういうところだと知らずに近づいたあんたにも非はあるんじゃないのと思います。
Spot on.
まあわかります。教団のやり方にまで口を出すことかと。しかし私は見てしまったのです。彼らのおぞましい
The repulsive reality.
I don't want to see behind the curtain.
I kind of want to see behind
I
the
don't
curtain.
want to. Don't peek behind the curtain, please.
その天外の中にあったのは体中を切り刻まれ、もはや生きていられるはずもない姿でおびただしい数の機械によって生かされ続けている。
What the fuck?
私の気配に気づいたそれは私にこう言った。
It spoke?
What?
宇佐美医師はその非人道的な所業で得た知識でもって信者を増やしています。ともすればこの時代の覇権を握るのかもしれませんが。
その宇佐美ってのがこいつじゃないのか？
別人です。宇佐美はもっと若い。
Younger.
Darn.
そういえば不滅教団じゃ人食いの体を人間に移植するって聞いたけど。
New information for them.
そういうことか。
あなた方に相談したいことにもつながってきますが。
If you kill man-eaters, will you kill people who have parts of man-eaters?
人食いの怪物が
Keeping a man-eater in the basement of their building. God, so much of their language reminded me of Mina.
お姉ちゃんがやれってんなら俺はやるけど。
けど、なんだよ。
Did you see the scar?
Yeah.
いつもの冷静さがないぞ。春樹に戻ってるんじゃ。
どういう意味だ？元から頭の中は春樹だし、僕は冷静だ。
Cool-headed, Maru. Cool-headed.
しかし何かすっきりしない。なんだ。俺が考えないと。こんな時に限って余計なことしか考えられない
Maru,
狭さ。
you got this, bro.
機械は人間に何をもたらしました？戦車、爆弾、戦闘機。その結果、我々に残されたものは長い冬とただ朽ちていくだけの瓦礫の山じゃないか。
What a performance there. Amazing.
怪物が消えれば対等な話し合いができます。
話し合い。
怪物を解き放つという切り札がある限り、教団が我々
It's
の
weird to
That's
refer to
fair.
it as a secret weapon.
まあ、僕らはお金で人食いを殺すだけだ。あとは好きにすればいい。
It is definitely threatening to know that your enemy has that.
Cause a ruckus. Distract them.
から不滅教団ビルの前で人体実験反対のデモを行います。あなた方を地下へ潜入させるための陽動です。
見張りはいないのか？
地下への見張りは我々のスパイです。
Good.
Awesome.
Awesome plan. Nothing's gonna go wrong. Do you feel like this man-eater is gonna be like unique? Like
Like the bear?
or like half man-eater?
I'm kind of scared, actually.
It feels different and unsettling, you know?
The fact that it's in this building makes me scared. Okay.
ついてる。
お姉ちゃん。俺ずっと違和感がモヤモヤしてて、今は分かったかも。
俺たち水を取りに行った時みたいにはめられたんじゃないかな。だって地下にヒルコがいるなら不滅教団にヒルコを移植して欲しがってたおっさんはなんで
Have to bring-
Have to
Yeah.
bring his own parts. Who's setting them up? The bodyguard? The people of the Mortal
おっ
Order?
さんはまだ不滅教団へは行ったことがなかったはず。
He wouldn't know.
一体僕ら二人を地下に閉じ込めるにしては手口が大げさすぎるだろう。一体何のために。
Yeah, they're just leading people here with rumors.
体をバラバラにされるぞ。
待った。あれはなんだ。
What the fuck? A cocoon?
これ仮死状態の人食いじゃないか。
Is that the trap?
ヒルコだ。
There's actually a man.
潰したよ。
Is it one of its eggs?
Or it's like a baby. Yeah, like it looks like a cocoon or an egg.
理由だったな。
お姉ちゃん。あそこに落ちてるのもそう。
I hate this. I don't
Oh
like
my
this.
god. They're like spider eggs or something.
まだいるかもしれん。隅々までよく探せ。
There's gonna be tons.
Oh. That kind of looks a little more like the babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
あの小さいのはこいつから増えた
And
の
the
か。
idea of little ones multiplying from it.
食いは瀕死に追い込まれると仮死状態。死んだふりを
Okay.
Survived by playing dead.
地下に閉じ込められて餌が食えなくなったから。
They're starving it.
じゃあ餌。人間が2人ここに来たってことはそのうち動き出すのかな。
Oh! How many bullets do we have? From the Kiru.
What the
Oh
fuck?
my god, it's coming through the floor.
How the fuck? It's like permeation. Oh! Oh no! Did it not work on it? Oh, what the fuck? Oh!
Oh!
What the fuck?
This is terrifying! This is like a horror movie!
Oh!
Help me, Robin.
What the fuck?
All that blood loss. Did it not actually happen?
何もされてないよ。
A hallucination?
突然何もない空間に発砲して暴れ出したんだよ。
What the
そのまま休んでて。ヒルコ全部始末してくるから。
I don't like this.
ロビンに助けを求めるんだね。
ごめん。だってマルもやられちゃったと思ってたから。
なんとも男らしくないことを言ってしまった。
なんで謝らなきゃいけないんだ。
What about that hallucination though? Like what?
あのでかいヒルコをじーっと見てた時に術にかけられたんだよ。
In order to protect
だ
itself,
から言っ
maybe?
たろ。いつもの冷静さがないって。
何もう一回しようとしてんだよ。バカか君は。誰か来る。
Oh, and he has a gun. Is this the doctor? Is he gonna be like, thank goodness for taking care of this for us?
あからさまにやべえやつが来たぞ。
He's gonna be like,
What the
thank
fuck?
you!
どうかもう一人
Oh, it's the doctor.
助けてほしい。
Someone I want you to
To
help.
help.
Is it the person that says, let me die?
宇佐美なら俺だ。
I don't like this. I have a
I
bad
have
feeling
no
about this.
answers. Only questions.
Okay, that was Heavenly Delusion, Season 1, Episode 7. Right away, I wanted to reread some of the lines that we got early on in this episode when we were talking about the Immortal Order. Since it's called an order, they must have followers and people who don't complain about the treatments, right? Even before the collapse, machines were used to replace body parts that had deteriorated. This led to the idea that the brain, or its memory data, could be transplanted into a robot's body, thus transcending mortality itself. Immediately, Mina comes to
Yeah.
mind.
Mm-hmm.
But we've talked about the idea that maybe Tokyo and Maru looking so identical could be a fake out, in the sense that maybe like they're not linear, in the sense saying that Maru and Kiriko's, like, we aren't there yet, like we're in the past and Tokyo's.
Okay.
But after this episode, it could be the other way around too. Like, it could be that what we're seeing in the facility came before.
Like, the day of fate is the day of the collapse. Like, the day
Yeah.
of fate that we're waiting for. I
The-
have wondered. It's been on my brain since, I don't know which episode we started actually kind of talking about it, because I know we started, just even put the question out there within the first couple episodes of, like, what if A and B plot are not coexisting in
Yeah.
the same time period? That's, like, totally plausible, because why wouldn't we question that when we haven't gotten actual concrete interactions between the two, and we haven't seen what the world outside looks like?
Other than the vague setup of narratively giving us as viewers the mission of finding heaven for Kiriko and Maru, and then us seeing another place that seems to be drastically different than what we've seen through Kiriko and Maru.
I think we were also led by Mimihime's, like, first lines in the first episode about having this vision of someone crashing through, reaching the hand out.
Yeah.
It made me think that, okay, we're parallel moving lines right now with A plot and B plot, and then eventually Kiriko and Maru are gonna get there, they're gonna break in, and they're gonna reach their hands out.
Yeah. But now, like, my main thought about why, Tokyo and Mimihime's life was later than what we're currently watching through Maru and Kiriko's point of view was the idea that, okay, Kiriko, we know the brain transplant into a body. There's no way that technology would be able to transplant a robot's consciousness, or a person's consciousness into a robot like we've seen, from Mina. But we are given a bit of confirmation this episode saying that happened in the past, which then makes me, holy shit.
Mm-hmm. And I can't, like, the line of, like, with the same face as Tokyo's face, but we're getting characters who have the face of someone else and the brain of someone else put together, and then the idea of a human's brain in a robot's body. We have what are these apparent babies that do not look like babies, that do not have faces yet. I feel like I've only been given more questions.
Definitely. I mean, with the man-eaters that we saw at the end of the episode that seemed to be causing, like, hallucinations and hypnotizing Kiriko, they vaguely looked similar to the babies. Like, not a one-for-one or anywhere close to it, but they looked somewhat similar. Do we think that the babies that we saw in the facility are future man-eaters, or because like it wasn't completely off the table for some fucking reason to me that those could somehow grow to be more humanistic looking and like pass for a human. But were they inevitably were they, if we're entertaining the idea that that was in the past, could they have caused like and birthed the man-eaters that we're seeing Maru and Kiriko fight right now?
Or is it evolving what man-eaters are? I feel like when we got the Haruki and Kiriko episode, what happened was we have Haruki thinking a specific way that can kill a man-eater will work each time, and then he gets confronted by a man-eater that it doesn't work on. And then when we get the fish on the boat, and it being something totally out of the normal of what they're used to seeing in terms of man-eater,
Yeah.
it makes me as a viewer either question, how many man-eaters have they really seen and killed? Or are man-eaters like evolving and getting stronger or becoming harder to kill? Or will there inevitably be one that appears more human?
Why does Kona draw things that have yet to happen?
Yet for us to see happen.
Right? Like
I don't think...
At first I'm like, okay, are you drawing something into being? But then with the idea of Mimehime like having some prognostication, I'm like, okay, that's two characters between Mimehime and Kona probably being able to see ahead without realizing.
Yeah. And this idea
Mimehime does, I guess.
Within this group there is a day of fate to come. It does make you feel like those two characters, Kona and Mimehime, if we put them in the past, they'd be more so like prophecies that they would be having about the coming day of fate and past.
Yeah.
That point. This imagery of this man-eater, and then with all the little tiny baby cocoon man-eaters, it does evoke a similar feeling to the babies that we saw.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, no, I agree with, I feel like it's on purpose for it to evoke it, whether to mislead us, to just give us imagery that might feel similar visually, or just by the concept alone.
This is the second episode that we barely got any of. Like, we didn't get much of the other story.
Oh, yeah, no.
What did I'm trying to remember what context we got for how Asura's creation, right? Did Asura have the same disease? Gil body wouldn't be able to hold its mind, bear its mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the purpose in Asura's creation? What are they trying to achieve with the children? Like,
did we use Asura's mind after her death? There's a question too.
That's a good question.
If we're being, especially in this episode, this idea of transplanting a human's mind into a robot.
If we did, I wouldn't think the director or anybody within the facility would know about it, because their reaction was something that seemed to be pretty genuine about Asura's
like they felt guilty and responsible for the pain that it seemed that Asura bared from all of the things that were put within her brain.
They were prepared. It seems like they were trying to prepare these kids for the day, right?
The day of fate.
But what were they, like, what? With amazing knowledge?
What are we preparing you with? Like, they're going to school.
They're going to school. Some of them have extremely, like, animalistic or superhuman, like, capabilities or physical attributes.
Like, Cuckoo can climb a wall like no one's business.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like the further we go, the more the question of, are these parallel storylines like happening at the same time, is within my head. As we go further, it's just more and more I'm asking myself that.
Okay, so Dr. Usumi,
yes.
He seemed genuinely happy and relieved almost that not that this was killed, but that it could be killed.
Yes.
And he's asking for them to kill somebody for him.
Yes.
as you said, the obvious answer coming to mind is the peek behind the curtain that we got of "Someone Please Kill Me."
Yeah.
And it coming out off like a robotic voice, right?
Mm-hmm. Let me please, like, let me die, I think it might
Does
have
that
been.
mean that that person is like somehow a man-eater partly? Like,
It does make you question what if this person was one of those original human experiments? Like, what if rumors are born from something, something to then, as it tumbles down the hill, it becomes more and more distorted from what it originally probably was, and
Yeah.
maybe even more fantastical. So we have this idea that people are trying to go here because they heard a rumor that they could mix man-eater parts with humans for immortality. That is not the case. Part of me wonders if is this person that is on somewhat of a robotic life support, were they a person that was subjected to experiments
interesting.
and were mixed with man-eater parts a long time ago?
And now they can't die.
And they can't die because of the man-eater part within them.
Yeah, I mean, the context of, like, we were told the immortal order, but bringing the term immortality into that conversation, wanting to put an end to somebody's life that you have not been able to, like, in my mind, I have more of a vision of the Doctor trying all these fucked up ways to kill this person. Can we re-listen to when we see
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we get anything other than a robotic-ish voice and then the life support systems.
その天外の中にあったのは体中を切り刻まれ、もはや生きていられるはずもない姿でおびただしい数の機械によって生かされ続けている人間。私の気配に気づいたそれは私にこう言ったのです。
Yeah, it's like we're just getting wires and like electronics and blood, right? That's where I land then. Like, it has to be like it can't die, whether or not that is because it's mixed with a man-eater, and that's the situation at hand.
I think the element, especially with this episode, that's just being it's not just now being introduced into the plot, but it's definitely what's keeping me feeling so confused, is humans, robots, man-eaters.
Yeah.
We have a fantastical but rather
Scientific.
organic thing of the man-eater, but then science and sci-fi of like robots, and the idea of we can either mix parts with man-eaters or mix parts with robots, and then we have our main character being parts from two humans. And all of this jumbled together, they almost feel like they should not be existing in the same story.
Yeah.
Like, is this a story where there's fantastical man-eating beasts? Or is this a story where there's robots that are taking over? Like, the fact that they're in the same universe is, I think, one of the things that's making me... I mean, probably what makes it more compelling, but also what keeps me in a state of, like, I have no clue what's happening.
Okay. Whatever this thing is can't die. If we're thinking that it can't die because it's either mixed with a man-eater or not, what is it? Is it like immortal, or is it like regenerative?
Ooh, I like
If
the
it's
idea of
regenerative,
that.
we didn't get any follow-up yet, and because of how like funny the show is, it could have just been a bit, but we got the idea of Maru's tooth potentially being able to grow back.
And then it didn't.
Well, we didn't see, we haven't
Just
seen
for the
anything
rest
from
of that
it.
episode, it didn't.
Yeah, so it could just be a joke, but in the same vein of thinking of like regeneration, regenerative abilities, immortality, could Maru have derived from the same process that would allow him to be able to kill man-eaters, that like just in a more perfect balance than this person that can't die? You know?
He's probably just harder to kill. Maru?
Yeah.
I almost feel like I'm being teased by the person that wrote this. Like, the idea of the joke about Maru's tooth growing back and then it not happening, but we're in a universe where I totally could have just, as a viewer, been like, oh yeah, he could totally grow his tooth back. Show it to me. As soon as you joke about it, I'm gonna expect that it actually happens.
Yeah.
And I feel like I might just be being teased by the person that created this story because of all the fantastical elements they can play with you as a viewer because you're
Agreed.
already open-minded to craziness.
It's interesting that we got such a focus on Kiriko's scar this episode in the same
Right.
vein of thinking of transferring somebody's consciousness into
I mean, that's
robot.
perfect visual, like to introduce the idea
Yeah.
of the mind within a robot and getting to see the scar from a mind being transferred to another body.
I get what you're saying with like there's so many different elements that it's like these are all in the same story that are like okay, like you typically only see one being used, right? Like okay, you're able to swap a brain into a different body. That's crazy. Or, oh, you're able to transfer a consciousness into a robot. That's crazy. But having two somewhat similar, derived from a similar idea plot points ongoing concurrently is absurd.
Our A plot and B plot could exist as their own stories.
Yeah.
We could just be with Kiriko and Maru, or we could be with Tokyo and Mimihime.
What the fuck would the syringe do if you inject it into somebody with the same face as Maru?
And it helps people. It does a good thing. Whatever it does, it's gonna be good for everyone that this happens. Also, we're reminding us yet again that Maru's word for the man-eaters is specific to Maru and Miruka.
Yeah. Mikura. I'm deriving into insanity. I'm starting to like try to spell the words backwards and see if that gives me any answers.
Well, of course you would start playing with words when we know our main character's name is derived from two names put together.
Yeah.
So it makes, maybe that's what's, so again, we're being played with and teased because we're supposed to go insane watching this.
It's so like, I'd say 9 times out of 10, if a show's gonna fake me out with something like, I don't know, chopping a main character's arm off, I'd be able to tell you, like, while it's happening, it's a fake out, or, like, it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Not for a second did I think that this was a hallucination.
I didn't either.
I legitimately thought that...
I thought it was real.
That going forward, Kiriko is going to either be without an arm, or be reattached, or get a prosthetic, or something. I was 1,000% convinced.
And you know what some of the evidence was that convinced us that this could totally be real? The building we were in.
Mm-hmm.
The character we had just seen that had an amputated leg.
Yeah.
The fact that we're in a building that is supposedly able to... is somewhat of a hospital, but maybe, like, not a respectable hospital. And they would be able to treat you and give you prosthetics for your amputations. And so because we're in an environment where these injuries could probably be helped and there's a doctor here that does some really like funky stuff, we're of course gonna be like, okay, well, this is really scary, but our character will survive because of the building they're in.
Also, like, coming out of it, seeing Maru kissing Kiriko, I'm like, immediately, I love the humor in the show and how quick and dry the cuts are to that, but as far as I'm concerned, it's always somewhat based in reality, right? Like, do you think that I don't think Maru's doing that just to take the opportunity.
Oh, no.
I think it was like CPR or...
I think he thought this is... If Kiriko's really in there still, this is the only way that they are going to react and they're going to slap me. Like, I honestly think it was like, Maru probably tried going, hey, and like poking and then like trying to maybe hold Kiriko down.
Yeah.
And then that was like the last resort.
Huh, I like it.
But the idea that this man-eater was able to protect itself in somewhat of a sci-fi but animalistic way. Like animals having defenses to be able to protect themselves from camouflage. The idea that this man-eater had the ability to create hallucinations to protect itself.
Okay. This man-eater compared to the thing that we're assuming Usami wants to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Both are on the verge of death. One of them is self-preservation. The other one is asking to die.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting comparison.
One's a little more one's a little more human.
Yeah, and the one that's a little more human is asking to be
Mhm.
put out of its misery.
Mhm.
And the man-eater is using hypnotism. Is hypnotism in the same vein or category somewhat as prognostication and superhuman abilities?
Maybe it could also go in the line of thinking of brainwashing. We have a bunch of this idea that like people are picking sides and willing to do things that are kind of crazy, follow rumors. We have Mimihime and Tokyo in a place where it feels like they are being probably taught to act a certain way and think a certain way, which could be thought of in the grand scheme of things as a form of brainwashing. We are controlling, we are limiting information.
Yeah.
And then hallucination, and like that makes you think of hypnotizing someone, and just all of this is so mental and psychological that's happening.
I loved the lines that Dr. Usami gave at the end of the episode of like the Immortal Order. I did not speak those words, but I've heard them spoken about this.
Mhm.
Like his character, like initially I like they're trying to make me feel nothing but horrendous creepy vibes from him, but like with like his like I don't know composure,
Mhm.
but I don't get that at all.
No, I liked that it was one of those moments where sometimes when a character is being introduced to you in a certain way, as a viewer, you're like, no, this isn't real. I'm not actually, like, they're not actually going to turn out to be a bad guy. And he did the whole, like, we're seeing these shots of the gun at his side.
Paired
and he's walking
with-
and the gun makes a sound.
Yeah,
and
paired with the whole like, oh, what, they have a sign that they could kill man-eaters, go get them for me. Like, oh, you're gonna use them in like in some torturous surgical way. But now with context at the end of the episode, we're like, holy shit, he probably wanted to get the two of them
so that they
with
would
the
kill
hope
a
that they could,
man-eater.
yeah, like.
Just really quickly, a line that I really liked. I'm not going to be able to say it verbatim, but the idea of people being blindly aggressive about things they don't understand. I was like,
Whose consciousness is Mina? That's the only.
When did Mina come to be?
Yeah.
You know? Because I can't necessarily think that it's Asura, because I feel like I should be believing that Mina's been around for a while.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But also, what was that thing left when Taro died?
I don't know. Is it similar to the cocoons we see here?
Right, I know, imagery-wise, I'm just like, is that similar?
Obviously, they look completely different, but...
And the fact that, and when we were with the King of Hotels last episode, Maru felt something within the King of Hotels that's similar. There's so many little pieces in here that I feel like, oh my god, this is probably fun on a rewatch.
Oh my god,
This show is probably a riot on a rewatch.
I wonder if even we rewatched it from episode 1, if we'd find more, like
Pieces,
evidence or
like
clues,
little-
yeah.
Yeah. Probably. We're
All
not
right.
gonna do that, but probably.
That's all I have you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.